Hey everyone, how's it going? Another replay for you. This time, I am playing in the SU-22-44 Tier 7 Soviet Tank Destroyer here on Siegfried Line. Now, I'm in a top tier game against a lot of Tier 6s, a couple of Tier 7s, and I'm going to show you what the SU-122-44 is capable of. Now, I have mixed opinions on this tank, and that's kind of what I'm going to be speaking about in this video. Now, I have tried for about a week now to get a replay here of this vehicle that's even watchable. Now, this tank is a tank that I have called Lost in Time. It used to be fantastic, and despite nothing changing on the vehicle itself, the tanks around it have changed, and the gameplay around have changed so much that the tank really isn't viable anymore. One thing it is good at is taking massive amounts of hit points off of Tier 6 and Tier 5 vehicles. This tank averages 390 damage per shot, and my reload is about 6.22 seconds, giving it a DPM of over 3,700, which is on par, if not better, than most Tier 10 mediums, such as the Object 140, the CS63. I'm not running any special equipment. You will see that I am running food, and I feel like this tank definitely needs it, given that the accuracy on my vehicle here is 0.37, which is terrible. Now, I've decided to take an aggressive spot down the 5 line, and I'm actually sniping. Now, the reason I've decided to snipe here is because while this tank has good frontal armor on paper, it's 90 degrees, but if we go to the free camera mode here, you can see it's really well sloped, giving it about 110 millimeters of frontal armor when it's on flat ground, but it goes up to about 150, 160 when it's using its meager 4 degrees of gun depression. And the issue with getting up close with it, even though it can bounce shots, as you will see here, is just look at how many hit points it has. Only 840, which means any 122 millimeter gun that pens you, such as itself, is going to take out half your hit points, which is brutal, which means you cannot trade in this vehicle, you can't sit in front of things, and that basically negates the rate of fire. So what you're forced to do is try and snipe with 0.37 accuracy. And it does work, but it's extremely tricky, and honestly, I have struggled to make this vehicle work now. And it's mainly because of those terrible amount of hit points it has. You can see the aim time isn't stellar either. It takes quite a long time to aim in there. I just fired because I was afraid that P-43. Now you can see my frustration in chat at the T-50-2. Now look at this shot. Right into the cupola of the VK. That will never happen again, I assure you. That was just pure luck. I had nothing to shoot at. I wouldn't have shot at it had I had anything else to shoot. Now I'm begging the T-50 to please go up in spot because I'm getting lit every time I'm poking through this bush. In fact, sometimes I'm lighting my own vehicle. I believe I spotted that P-43 BIS. That's another thing this tank doesn't have. It's good view range. Now the E-25 here is slinging APCR against me. Unfortunately, you can see the angled frontal armor here really holding up against even those APCR rounds with over 170 millimeters of penetration. T-30-45M takes that Cromwell out. That was my initial plan, was to actually go where the Cromwell was. However, upon spotting the P-43, I decided that I was just going to sit here, obviously, because I didn't want to get crossfire. Now, I'm going to continue to work this bush. I really want that P-43 and VK out so our E-43 and E-25 can move up. Now, the E-25 there is trading shots against the T-30-45M, not doing so hot there on hit points. Actually, both vehicles are struggling. The A-43 is now acting as the scout, given that the T-50-2 is camping all the way in the back. Props to that guy for taking on the role of a light tank. Now, not much is going on. The city is playing pretty standard, and now this P-43 tries to side scrape there. You can see the accuracy of this vehicle just not helping it at all. That shot almost goes into the wall. Now, I'm going to go up here and take a little bit of a risk. This was almost unnecessary, but I really want to make sure that T-25-2 does not kill our A-43 there. I take one shot from the 30-45M. Actually, it's a low roll there, I believe. I think that vehicle rolls for 170 or 180. And you can see I'm continuing to bounce. I'm now up to 2,000 damage and 1,700 health. And I have not even fired that much. That's what's so nice about having 390 alpha. Now we know that P-43 is on a sliver. I get lit again. Not sure by what. And I'm just wiggling, waiting for that E-25 to shoot me. It appears that E25 has learned his lesson and he's not going to pen me anymore. Still begging the T-52 to move up, and now I figure it's a lost cause, and I'm going to rotate high side. Our team's up 5-1 and 4,000 hit points. So I figure I can make something else work. Now, going back to the hit point issue. You can presume that you can take one big hit per game. That's it. I already took one against the T-30-45M. And that means that, you know, no tank on the enemy team can one-shot me, but a lot of them get pretty close. I'm going to proxy that T-30-45M there, trying to get the E-25 to shoot him. Let's see if he can't take that vehicle out. City's pretty much crushing through there, and I know I have a limited amount of time to be able to get more damage in this game. I'm going to take the risk, push across, exposing myself to the left of that P-43 BIS and the VK. Obviously, I get lit there, but I'm going to sit here and allow the E-25 to finish this T-30-45M off. They continue to move up. Our team's now up 9-1 and 5,000 hit points even, so I'm just going to take the gamble and push this Super Hellcat. Putting one into him for 407. The M44 finishes that vehicle off, and here comes the Sturmiel. Now, that's my big hit for the game. 500. Now, look at the rate of fire of this vehicle. There's one, and there's two. That's, in the span of 6 seconds, that is just over, just over 700 damage, just under 700 damage. And we're up 11-1. Now it's just a race of who can get more damage this game. Now, this was a misplay by me. I'm going to sit here, watch the E-25 stare right at me. There's one into him for 430. He's looking right at me. I take a hit for 159. He bounces the second one, and I'm going to finish him off. That shot should have penned from him, given that that was only a 90mm plate he was shooting at, given that I was angled downward. And we're going to take, let's see, this VK. We're going to take a punt at the VK. Unfortunately, look at the accuracy, just terrible. And that's the end of that game. A decent result for this vehicle. Obviously, if you're on flat ground, trying to get a, let's see, trying to get a thumbnail there. Let's go take a look at the post game. Alright, so we finished with a first class mastery badge. Spartan for the amount of ricochets we got against that E-25. We got a steel wall and a high caliber. Top of our team there by quite a good margin, finishing with just under 1100 XP. And we made a healthy amount of credits too, 50,801. Now the final thing I'll say, would I recommend you picking up this vehicle? It depends on how much you want to gamble the game every time. I played probably about 20 to 25 games in this, just trying to get a result that was even showable. I had a lot of games where I'd run in, maybe get one shot, immediately get nailed for close to all of my hit points by a tier 8. It is noted that this tank does get preferential matchmaking, and then I was basically stranded for the rest of the game. The rest of it was either I sit back and do nothing, or I most likely die. Because again, the vehicle cannot really snipe. It worked here, but that was, you know, it was long to medium range, so I made it work. But I wouldn't recommend the vehicle anymore. I would have recommended it about 3 years ago, but the meta has just changed so much from this vehicle. So I hope you enjoy this one. I hope you take something away from it. If you really like the SU-122, let me know how you're playing it, because I would love to figure out how to make this vehicle work again, if somebody is able to do so. And I will see you all in the next one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye.